Hello, and welcome to another episode of Connection Alchemy. I'm your host, Emma Buggy, and I'm here yet again with my dear friend, Andy Hicks, who is a mindfulness coach. Hey,
Hello,
Andy.
everybody. Good to be with you,
And
Emma.
yeah, good to be with you again, Andy. Um, I'm smiling from ear to ear because I'm noticing that it's covering a bit of nerves around wanting to talk about a topic today that is actually so alive in me right now, and that's why it makes me nervous. I can see your face, and it kind of feels like it's a nerve-wracking one for you too, Andy.
Yeah,
Um,
feels very live for me too.
yeah. So the topic is, the resilience that can come from letting go of control when we're trying to make decisions in our relationships and in our lives, and discerning when am I making a decision that's coming from this anxious part of me that wants to find a resolution and relax and finally be like, okay, everything will be okay, looking for certainty and looking at the lie of certainty, the fact that certainty is a story that we imagine. We cannot control anything, actually. And so how do we lean into that sort of space of the unknown? What does that look like without letting go of the things that we're hoping for and caring for in the future?
Yeah,
Scary,
for me,
isn't
it's
it?
also about this sort of idea of like I'm not powerless and helpless, and there are things that I do that have an impact, and I can influence the outcomes that I want, but I can't make things happen. I can't force the result that I want. So how do I strike that balance or find that way through where I'm not being really rigidly attached? Like, I want life to look like this. I want this result. Not doing that, but I'm also being proactive and taking steps towards what I want.
Mm-hmm. So it's neither becoming completely lifeless and sort of going, oh, life will do it for me if I just lie here in the bed and wait for it to turn up.
Yeah.
And so there's impetus, there's movement, there's intentionality, but there's also a letting go of that kind of stress that if I don't make it happen the way I want it to, then I haven't done enough. And
Yeah.
then these things won't happen for me. And then what's the result of that? So I wonder if, because yeah, like I said before, it's a bit nerve wracking for me, and I know for you too, Andy, because it feels like it touches upon, um, like for me, the reason I want to share about this in this episode is more that I feel inspired about sharing how this is moving through me in my own life and what I'm learning about it right now in this moment. So it's a very live topic, and that feels a little bit scary to share with people because I'm like, oh, I don't know where I'm going to go with that, and maybe I won't come with some like real wisdom that finally lands. And at the same time, I do feel like I'm touching something in myself that is really resonating as like, this is helping me now. This feels good. This feels like where I need to be, even though it's quite uncomfortable to be in that space. And I wonder if it's the same for you too, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely. Feels like it's really something that I want to, I think, change my perspective around. I want to do some letting go of control, and at the same time feeling resistance to doing that. I'm not exactly sure what my way forward is going to be like. So it feels a bit vulnerable to share that.
Mm. So I wonder, do you have a preference of which one of us will share our connection to this topic, which will hopefully be interesting for those who are listening to as we
Hopefully.
meander through, like where we are stuck in trying to control and where we're finding that letting go of control is supportive, and in which ways it's supportive for us.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go
I'd like you
first?
to go first, Emma.
Me first? Okay. Oh, I think there's going to be some crossovers because I know Andy very well and we talk about these things often. So I think there's some similarities. But if I were to name two areas in my life where I can really viscerally feel myself kind of teetering on the edge of, I want to control the outcome versus uh, like a sense of allowing myself to be in the unknown. I think it would be the fact that my business, my offering, what it is that I want to share and bring into the world is shifting as we speak. And it has been shifting for a while now, but there's something really seismically changing in me around what is it that I want to support people with, and how is that reflecting like where I am in myself? Like wanting to somehow support from a place that feels really in alignment with my own sense of yeah, like how I'm moving through relationships and communication and beyond that. So there's that, like there's like in that topic, where it feels really knotty and uncomfortable is that like right now I'm doing a tantra teacher facilitator training, and I just said teacher and facilitator in the same sentence. Tantra facilitator training, and I'm also moving into becoming qualified as a circling facilitator. I haven't started that journey yet, but I'm going to be. And there's a whole aspect around Zazen meditation, Buddhism that's coming in through this process of inquiries. And so I feel myself moving into a deeply meditative relational space that's very much about like what's happening right now between us, like right now in the moment, and allowing aliveness to be expressed in the moment. And it feels like a very brave, slightly more yang energy approach to communicating. And it feels like it really complements everything that I've learned so far. So I'm excited about that. And yet I still don't have clarity around what that looks like in terms of my offerings. And so, the part of me that like I offered this work simply because I love it, but also it's my livelihood. I make money from my workshops, and that's how I'm able to make this podcast, pay my rent, get food, pay for more training so that I can feel more complete in what I offer. And I need to plan into the future in order to advertise workshops, or at least that's what I've been telling myself I need to do. And whilst I'm in this shifting kind of moment where I kind of almost need space for all of the pieces to come together and clarify, it's really hard for me to plan workshops far into the future, because I'm like, maybe that's not what I'll be offering anymore. And so there's a part of me that's like, you have to. People need to know. They're asking, when are your workshops happening in January and February? And what are they going to be about? And you need to be clear, and you need to, advertise them, and you need to keep on making your Instagram videos and all of these shoulds. And then this other part of me is just 1000% resisting that. And it's like, I only want to publish what feels in alignment and true with where I am now and where I'm going. And I absolutely, like, I have not been making Instagram videos for the past month when I was doing it for years. And like, the only thing I'm really a full yes to is the podcast and my newsletter. And the course that I'm going to run in November and October, but everything else, and the clients that I have right now. But at anything beyond that, I'm almost like, I don't want to put something out there that isn't in alignment. And that's where I freak out. That's where the controlling part of me freaks out and is like really worried. And then this discerning part of me is like, trust, Emma, trust in staying with the unknown. If you just stay in this uncomfortable place where you're integrating all the new things, it's going to become clearer, and you'll make decisions that are in alignment. And that's very scary to actually listen to that. It's really uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. My bank balance is not is it's not as healthy as it normally is when I just stay in the unknown for a while.
So you do the work that you do partly to make money, but also because you love it, you're passionate, you're driven by the love of the work that you do.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that everything that you're offering because you believe in it 100%, because it's authentic, it's true to you, it's aligned with who you are, what you believe in, what you think is important, 100%.
Mhm.
And what feels right to you, what feels work. This is what I most want to do with my work. This is what I most want to offer. That's shifting. It used to be clear,
Yeah.
and now it's like, actually, I think it's going to be something different, but you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And there's a fear that if I don't work it out really quickly and start offering things really quickly, my bank balance is just going to go down and down and down and down. But if
Yeah.
you can stay in the uncertainty, then maybe something really amazing will
Yeah.
emerge that you can't yet see,
Fathom. Yeah.
fathom.
And not just that my bank balance will be affected, but also that those that are with me now in this journey will start to lose trust in me.
Mm,
And it's so interesting as I say that, because I'm really aware of the story I've created, the story of scarcity that I've created in my
yeah.
mind, because in reality, all the clients I'm working with, as they're seeing me go through these shifts, are massively celebrating the new stuff that's coming in and how it's coming in, and the fact that it's like there's parts that are unknown yet. There's been nothing but celebration and support for those shifts
Yeah.
so far. Um, but there is the fear that the fear that comes from the story of scarcity and separation that our culture teaches us in order for us to stay on the hamster wheel and keep going and keep going and keep going, and in order for us to be able to pay rent and do all these things, that story is ingrained in our culture, and
Mm,
therefore it's almost like I want to be gentle with myself and say, oh yeah, I live in a system that makes it hard for me to do the thing of stepping back and trusting myself.
mm-hmm.
The system doesn't support me to do that. Doesn't It's not normalized.
Mm,
Who has time to take their time? It's
yeah.
answers quickly now.
Yeah.
Action.
Yeah.
Actions and clarity are what is what's it called? Appreciated.
Mm. So in the in that sort of trying to give yourself some space and time, you feel this kind of systemic pressure mounting up of the sort of the financial pressure, the societal pressure, the expectation that you should be clear. What are you doing at the moment, Emma? What do you mean you don't completely know? What do you mean you don't have a business plan? There's this idea that you should have it all worked out, and it's sort of something's gone wrong if you don't have clarity. Is it kind of like that?
It's kind of like that, but I think it lives more in me in a physical way, and that's the part of me that wants to control. It's more physically the fear of not having stability in the future if
Yeah.
I don't know now. And
Yeah.
that's where my controller, that part of me, tries to, do stuff in order to control and have clarity. And I'm really enjoying the fact, even though it's very uncomfortable in this moment, but I'm really enjoying the fact that there's this other part of me that feels quite central and clear, and that's like unwavering. And she's saying,
Yeah.
I don't trust when we make decisions from that place, Emma. We've done that in the past. We've made decisions in the past that come from anxiety and
Yeah.
stress
Yeah.
and fear, and they normally lead us towards the thing that we fear the most. It's almost like
Mm.
when I make those anxious decisions that are like, oh, quick, I better just put up a course for January, because if I don't, then blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Then history has shown me that those are the energetically coming. They're not come It's not coming from alignment, it's not coming from the heart, and then I somehow sabotage it anyway because I don't really want it.
Mm,
So that's what history has shown me through my work and also through my relationships, that when I make the decision out of have to, I somehow find a way to sabotage it unconsciously because I don't really want it.
mm,
And maybe I can come back to that as an example later in relationships because,
mm.
um, yeah, I'd be happy to express how I sabotaged, what I said that I wanted from an anxious place, unconsciously. But in a way, I'd like to come over to you for a bit, Andy, and hear
Mm.
how this topic is in you. Like if
I,
there's an area.
yeah, I'd be very happy to do that. I just wanted to clarify. So, are you saying that when you make a decision from this anxious place, because you want to have more security or safety, or to guarantee that things will turn out the way you want them in the future, that it kind of backfires, and rather than giving you that security, you subconsciously or consciously sabotage whatever it is, that course that you put on that you didn't really want to put on. So it
Yeah.
doesn't give you the security
Yes.
that you
Yeah.
were seeking.
Yes. Yeah, I remember like 2 or 3 years ago, I was like setting up a newer version of my website, and I was thinking I should have XYZ different courses that represent these different topics within nonviolent communication. That's what is going to sell, and that's what people want. So I created all these courses that were coming from that energy of should and wanting to, it was like it was at a point in my business where I still had money coming in from other places and I wasn't 1000% working on the business only.
Yeah.
And so I was like wanting to let go of these other jobs. I was about to let go of these other jobs, like a month or two away from going full on into just facilitating and holding space. Um, and I started to feel that anxiety of, oh God, if I let go of these other jobs, I have to make sure that I make enough money doing this thing that I love. Otherwise, I won't make it. So I created 2 or 3 courses that I imagined people wanted, but I didn't feel like a huge excitement about teaching them.
Mm.
I was like, oh well, I'm sure it will be fine. I'll teach that when it comes up. And when it came to advertising those courses, I can now feel that part of me that was kind of, it's very subtle, but in the
Mm.
body, I was going, oh, well, I might just cancel that one. It doesn't seem like many people are signing up. Oh,
Mm.
I should keep advertising it because that's what I'm supposed to do. But if people, maybe I'll cancel it next week. And it's like all this inner languaging shows me that I didn't really want to do the course.
Yeah.
Not that one. I actually didn't really want it. So I was
Oh.
sabotaging it. And then, of course, nobody signed up and I cancelled them
Mm.
because that's what I truly wanted was something else, not
Mm.
that.
Mm. But you were sort of in denial that that was what you wanted
Yeah.
in that at the time.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm so afraid that people listening now will think that like when they go to sign up my courses, I'm doing that now. I'm really afraid to be seen as not reliable. I just want to
Mm.
name that layer of vulnerability. Like I'm
Mm.
sharing this from a place of like, this is what I'm learning and I don't want to do anymore. And and I'm sharing it on my podcast where maybe some people listen and sign up for my courses, and I'm afraid to be judged as not reliable. Oh, she's just putting out those courses in order to make money. She she doesn't really believe in what she's selling. She's just going to cancel it if it doesn't get enough people.
Not authentic as well.
Not authentic. Her courses are called compassionate and authentic relating. She's not really authentic. Blah.
What a Pinocchio. She's just lying to get bums on seats.
Yeah.
Tell the people what they want to hear.
Oh, it feels good to just
Oh,
name that fear and not skim over it and yeah, and connect with what's important for me is that like yeah, the reason why I'm in this inquiry now is because I want to contribute and I want to facilitate and offer something that I am really behind and feels meaningful and that I'm excited about because it's changing my life. And yeah, that's what keeps me trusting in the I don't know right now.
yeah.
Hmm.
I feel a bit sad hearing you say that you fear people not trusting you, thinking you're unreliable and inauthentic because it's just so far from my perception of you. I think I
Oh,
see you as one of the most reliable and authentic people I know. And I guess it makes you more trustworthy, more reliable, but you're able to be aware and open about these fears or these tendencies, these patterns that you've had in the past. That means that you're not going to be sort of blindly caught up in them.
I'm taking in that appreciation, Andy, and it's just reminding me of like a core at the essence, at the core of what I'm trying to continuously remind myself through this pathway is that I'm a human being. And like it's almost a gift to get the chance to mess up and like and just name the mess that's there and be like,
Mm.
ugh, trying to do this thing we call life. And
Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate that reflection of how you see me and also then helping me connect with like my humanity somehow.
Mm. Yeah, you're very human imperfection.
Yeah. I'm not teaching people to be perfect. I'm not wanting to, in fact, teaching doesn't resonate as a word. I'm not facilitating spaces for people to learn how to be perfect. I almost want to throw up at the word perfect. I'm like, yes, perfection. Of
It would be kind of funny and ridiculous to put
course,
on a course on how to be perfect.
to be perfect. Maybe I will. And then people come and I'll say, well, actually, it's the opposite.
I was joking.
I was joking how to be imperfectly human. Yeah.
Wow.
So, Andy, I'm noticing, like, again, a curiosity to hear a bit more of how this whole controlling versus not knowing acceptance topic is alive for you at the moment.
I'm just one way it's alive in me is the Radiohead lyric. I want to have control. I want a perfect body. I want a perfect soul.
I want to have control. I want a perfect body. I want a perfect soul. Mm.
And yeah, I hadn't thought before about how often control and perfection have are linked. It's often that I don't know. Yeah, the idea that I want to make it all perfect. I want my life to be perfect. I want to be perfect. I want to control it to make it like that. um, what the situations in my life that come to mind in this related to this topic are ongoing things that I've wanted to be different and continue to not be different. So I've got three that I'll share. One is that my mum had a mental health breakdown, as you know, but people listening won't necessarily know, in the beginning of lockdown. And she had very severe anxiety, panic, disassociation, stopped really being able to function in many ways, stopped being able to work, stopped being able to get out of bed many days of the week. And she's currently in a psychiatric hospital.
Mm.
So I guess it would be only very natural and human to want that to not be happening anymore, to want her to recover, to get my mum back. I feel a bit of tearfulness coming up as I say that because it's like I've lost her. We can't really communicate anymore. And as a family, we've tried and tried so many different things: doctors, medication, different hospitals, different types of therapy to try to, in a way, control the situation, control her mental health so that it gets better from where it is.
Mm.
And if anything, it's just got worse and worse. And possibly some of the things that we've done collectively to try to make things better have made things worse. It's always hard to tell with cause and effect, but possibly she's reacted very adversely to the medication. So that you could say is an attempt to control. We give you this pill, we get the outcome we want, which is you feeling calmer, you feeling better in
Mm.
yourself. And as we've touched on before, sometimes that desire, or maybe we could even say often, that desire to control can just completely backfire. And instead of her feeling better, she often felt seemingly worse, more anxious, more distressed, more confused.
Mm.
And we talked to a doctor when we were about 2 years into my mum's mental health crisis, who used to be really, really into antidepressants for himself and his patients and has changed his perspective on it and says that he thinks a lot of the time, not all the time, he thinks sometimes medication can be helpful, but a lot of the time people have some sort of a mental health crisis. They have a bad thing happen, a difficult thing happen in their life. They have a bereavement, a breakup, they lose their job, and they go to the doctor saying, I feel terrible, help me. And he said a lot of the time, the best thing that doctor could ever do is not do anything and just trust that it'll pass. They will feel better again.
Mm.
Depression, anxiety, a lot of these things get better by themselves. But the event gets further into the past, life goes on, people feel better. And it's his belief that the medication that often gets introduced at that point to try to control the fact that they feel distressed then has side effects, then is difficult to become off again afterwards. It can even lead to people feeling more anxious, more suicidal.
Mm.
It can make people feel much, much worse. So that's one situation. Another situation is that I've had eczema my whole life, and there's often this sense of I want to get rid of it. I don't want this eczema to be here. I want to control the fact that I have eczema, and it's a similar kind of thing in with the backfiring that steroids are often what get prescribed to me. They will often have an initial positive effect. The eczema starts to fade away, but then it sort of rebounds, sort of bounces back again. And it also has ongoing side effects that thins your skin over time. I think it can affect your organs. It's not a good thing to be on steroids for the long term. I heard a story from my friend whose brother had really severe eczema, and she said it cleared up overnight when her brother said, I just give up. I give up trying to cure this bloody thing. I don't care. I'm just going to basically let go. And his eczema completely went.
Wow.
He's never had it since. But I haven't managed to do that myself. And the third situation is I have been running my own business for about 10 years. And I often have this sense that of dissatisfaction, not with the work I do. I love the work I do. I get lots of positive feedback about how well received it is, how much of an impact it makes on people's lives. But I almost always have this sense of I want my business to be bigger. I want it to be growing more. I want to have more clients. I want to do more of this and that kind of work. And it's not where I want it to be. And I try to do this and that to grow it. And it's rarely growing as I want it to be. So it's this sense of like, how do I control it? How do I pull? What levers do I pull to try and make this thing grow in the way I want it to grow? And someone was challenging me yesterday. What would it be like to just let go of trying to control and make this thing the way you want it, make your business and your finances the way you want it? And I had this really kind of visceral sense of like, do that. I need to try. I need to keep trying. And if it's not going the way I want it to, that means I need to try even harder. Not do less, not let go. I need to put more effort in. And I've had the same feeling around my skin often. If my skin is getting worse, I need to try more things. I need to be more disciplined with my diet, more disciplined about not drinking alcohol. I need to try more therapies. I need to more effort, more energy. That's often seems to be my natural response, my inner response to it's not going the way I want it. So there's my three situations: my mum, my skin, my business. All of them have had this sense of I want it to be different. It's this classic life thing. My friend said to me a while ago, happiness is reality minus expectations. If you don't have
Happiness
expectations,
is
you're happy.
reality minus expectations.
Yeah.
Wow. If only it were that simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the reason I bring in that if only it were that simple is I almost want to bring compassion to in all three of the circumstances that you named that you want to control. There's like, I almost want to say, of course you want your mum to suffer less. Of course you want to suffer less yourself with your eczema and for it to go away. Of course you want your business to grow and to have, I imagine, the financial stability. And it's like all three of these things, it's almost like I want to bring that of courseness to like just how natural it is for us to want certainty in those places, to stop the suffering, to bring more spaciousness, relaxation, joy, love, freedom into our lives, because those are the qualities that we want to live and we want to experience more of.
Yeah.
And so when something so huge as your mother's pain
Mm,
and her, her mental health
mm.
or your own physical discomfort are at stake, it's like, of course, it's so natural that the impetus like is to just like get rid of this thing, change this thing, do what we can, fix it, you know? Um, yeah, somehow wanting to bring compassion to that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the most natural thing to not to want those things to be different. And obviously everyone who knows my mum wants it to be different as well. All the doctors want it to be different. But I'm also reminded, as you say, of course, about conversations that I'll have with my clients about, for example, anxiety, where they're aware that their attitude to feeling anxious is, I don't want to feel anxious. I don't like it. I want to get rid of
Yeah,
it.
it's not fun. It's
It's not
horrible.
fun. It's unpleasant. Yeah.
Yeah,
And of course, who wants to feel anxious? Who wants to suffer? Who wants to feel an uncomfortable feeling in their mind and body? Of course.
yeah, yeah.
It's the most natural thing to not want to feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, if we have that attitude of, ugh, I don't like this, go away, I hate feeling like this. Why do I feel like this? What's wrong with me that I feel like this? All that kind of stuff. It just makes us feel 10 times worse.
Yeah. And hearing you say that, what an image came to my mind of a child, like let's say a 5-year-old who's just having a tantrum and they're crying and they're crying and they're crying and they're upset and they're kicking and they're screaming. Maybe not five, like 3-year-old. And then And then we're getting annoyed with that child and frustrated, and we just want them to stop kicking and screaming. And we say, can you stop it? Stop it. Stop that kicking and screaming. Oh my goodness, you're making so much noise.
Mm.
We just, or even if there's more love in there and it's just like, okay, darling, yes, I know it's hard. Okay, okay, shh. That's it. Shh. Okay, shh. Ooh, okay, everything's all right. And it's like we're trying to, well, I'm stressed because you're stressed, and I'm trying to control your stress by getting you to shush and stop. How does that child
Mm.
feel?
Mm.
My emotions are not welcome. There's something wrong with me. I'm not safe here. I can't be held by this adult. And in a sense, probably I'm going to get louder because I
Mm.
feel even more afraid and more alone.
Mm. Yeah, they'll
And
probably get even louder or just shut down.
or just
Okay,
shut down.
I just have
Yeah.
to suppress it, pretend my feelings don't exist.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a sense of like that's what we're doing to ourselves
Yeah, yeah,
with not wanting to feel the anxiety or the depression or
yeah,
the fear.
yeah. I often find that it's almost it's kind of all the emotions. Many
All the
people.
emotions.
I don't want to feel angry. I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to feel despairing. I don't want to feel anxious. I don't want to feel fear. Can I just feel happy all the time, please? Just joy
That's yes.
24/7. That's
I'll
what I want.
just a lifetime supply of joy, please. I'll order that now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And yeah,
often people see these emotions as useless. Like, well, what is the point? What's the point of feeling sad? What's the point of feeling anxious? It's just useless emotions. So of course, I want to get rid of it.
and it's stopping me. It's
Yeah,
holding me back. It's taking away my joy, my life energy, my
yeah,
focus.
yeah.
Mm. Yeah, and then I'm just noticing like how there's so many threads I could easily move towards in this around firstly like how much for me, and I imagine also for you, Andy, the transformation of the difficult happens the more I sit with it and accept it and allow it. And like I've done past podcast episodes around, the letting go technique,
Mm,
that which is really about sitting with the most uncomfortable emotions and allowing them to be there and sitting with the resistance to
mm,
being with the difficult emotion, and like
mm,
how the transformation happens when I allow myself to fully feel whatever is there for as long as it needs to be felt, including the resistance to feeling that feeling.
yeah.
But if I try to transform it or I try to change it, then the emotion feels rejected by me and is it's energy that's trying to find a way to flow through the body in some way. And it's almost like, for me, also, it's like a younger part of myself that's asking for my attention, that wants me to see her, that wants me to care for her. And the more I try and change that younger part and say, go away, she's going to find other avenues to show me that she feels ignored by me, that she's not being seen, she's not being recognized. So there's this whole realm of like how, our anxieties and our stresses and our uncomfortable emotions are there because they come from trauma, they come from past places that need recognition and need to be held by us. And it's like my constant inner work is, how do I lean into holding myself and reparenting myself and loving myself in those places so that it's okay to feel that way.
Mm-hmm,
And then there's also like the whole realm of how those emotions are very often pointing towards something that's important to me.
mm-hmm,
So it's like, I don't want to just go away anxiety around mum feeling ill, because like the anxiety is saying, I care about my mother's life,
mm,
I love her, I want to
mm,
spend time with her. I want her to feel okay.
Hmm.
It's like, so it's like we can't just ignore that beautiful message that's behind that anxiety
Mm.
in a sense. So I think that's the layer that I'm at before moving towards the discern, like, okay, well, then how do we make decisions that actually serve life and that are not coming from the anxiety, but that are coming from a different place?
Mm.
I wonder if you would want to add anything to the kind of like level of awareness around how those uncomfortable emotions draw us towards making decisions that we don't like, or that draw us towards controlling.
Mm. I was going to say that if you're if the little 3-year old, if you were trying to soothe her or him, and they had a sense that you were only trying to soothe them to stop them having a tantrum,
Yes.
they wouldn't go down very well.
No, they would feel so upset and hurt and angry,
Yeah,
and they wouldn't trust you.
yeah. So it's this very kind of, is it, I don't know, delicate or subtle thing where we want to have a sense of compassion, self-compassion, acceptance for our emotions, but
Yeah.
trusting that it will help, that they will sort of shift and change. But if we do it with that intention, right, I'm just going to do this self-compassionate letting go thing so that my emotions change and I stop feeling anxious. It doesn't really work because it creates this sense of gripping, of control, of like, right, I'm gonna make this happen.
Well, it's still a rejection of the emotion.
Yes.
It's like a clever um like I want to use the word spiritual bypass, but also a kind of like a cognitive bypass of the emotions in a very clever way. Oh, I
Mm,
know this technique that will transform my emotions. So I'm going to reject the feeling of anxiety by trying to get rid of it through doing this technique.
mm,
But I'm going to wrap it in this lovely language of, oh, I'm going to meditate now and my emotions will transform.
yeah.
Versus that knowing of that sense of knowing that this emotion needs my attention.
Mm,
This emotion wants to be felt. This emotion is trying to care for something.
mm,
It's here for a reason.
mm.
It
I like the phrase feelings want to be felt.
Yeah, feelings want to be felt.
Mm,
Mm. Yeah, so
mm,
Andy, I'm wondering, with that sense of feelings want to be felt, do we want to leave the like come towards an ending where we're like, okay, well, how do we move towards making decisions that are more coming from that place where I guess I'm answering my own question, which is like I'm noticing in me in this moment,
mm,
both in relationship to my work and also in relationship to dating, because I've been dating for the last couple of years. And there's been that control element coming up for me in dating, and sort of like, oh, if I notice that something isn't quite moving in the direction I want it to, then I'm afraid of feeling hurt or feeling rejected. So I end things very quickly before I'm really clear on like, actually,
mm,
did I even really ask for what I wanted here? Or, so there's that controlling element that comes up in dating too. And what I've noticed recently in all of the realms where I'm kind of trying to control from anxiety is the more and more I'm noticing when I'm trying to make a decision because I'm stressed
mhm,
or because I'm uncomfortable or
mm,
because I'm afraid. It's quite easy to notice that once you realize. It's like the question I ask myself is, am I making this decision or doing this thing because I feel afraid, anxious, stressed, or worried? Yes
yeah,
or no?
yeah,
It's quite clear when I ask myself that question.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. even if there's only 10% of that there, I can
Yeah.
feel the yes, oh, that I'm doing this because I'm afraid.
Mm,
Then I try to sit back and go, okay, well, what is it that I really want actually to happen here? What is it
mm,
that I'm really longing for? And can I take my foot off the gas pedal for a moment and just feel into that feeling of like, what is it that I really want?
mhm,
And I don't quite know yet what it looks like. And can I be in the not knowing whilst I'm exploring that wanting?
mm,
Like, so I'm still connected to, I want this, but I don't know yet. And I think that's where the anxious part of me gets really uncomfortable. And yet I've noticed that the more I do that, I'm building up a resilience because, you know, there is no certainty in life. Nothing
mhm,
can be certain.
mm,
And it's something like the more I'm leaning into the not knowing about relationships, the not knowing about my work, and many other places, the more I'm trusting that in myself
mm,
and my connection to what's important for me, that life will bring me there through actions, through choices, through, direction, but but through listening rather than through pushing.
mhm,
And through being in the uncomfortable wobbly parts of I don't know, which is where I am at the moment.
mm. Wow, that sounds like a really positive and productive question to keep asking yourself. And as you say it, I think, how many times a day am I making a choice out of a sense of discomfort or anxiety or stress, whether that's having a snack, even having a cup of tea, because maybe I want something that's going to be warm and soothing because I'm feeling slightly stressed, or checking in with my partner. Am I checking in because I'm feeling this warm love and desire for connection? Or maybe I'm just a bit worried that she's not okay and she needs a bit of connection. Or maybe I'm cooking dinner and I'm, instead of thinking, oh, this is going to be the most delicious dinner, we're going to have a lovely time, a bit worried that maybe she won't like it. And I'm doing my business stuff not because I'm like, oh, I'm going to create this amazing business and do all these amazing things in the world and support people. I'm a bit worried that what if I don't? What if this happens? And what if I don't make enough money? What if this person doesn't like that? And it can creep in so much, right?
Yes. The what ifs.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it sounds like such a productive question to be like, okay, am I making this decision from discomfort or stress or anxiety? And instead, what would it be like to what? And so, what is the instead? What if it's
Well,
not
I
that?
think the first thing is not to make it wrong if you are.
No.
Doesn't mean you don't make that decision, but can I do it from the awareness of I'm now making this decision because I'm worried and I'm afraid and I'm anxious, and that's okay. I'm choosing to do that. And I think the difference in that is like I'm not letting the anxiety it's not in charge of me. It's
Yeah.
not taking me down a pathway that I can't see.
Mm.
And so if I choose to make the decision anyway out of anxiety, I know that perhaps it's serving certain needs, like it's helping, for example, checking in on your partner because you're worried. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It's like, but like if I own my worry, then it's like I'm checking in with you because I'm worried and I want to check if that worry is true for you
Yeah.
versus I'm checking in on you because I'm worried and I want to fix you because I
Yeah.
don't like feeling worried.
Yes.
You see the difference
Yeah.
in like when I'm aware that I'm doing it from the anxiety and the worry, fine. It's
Yeah.
meeting another need, but at least I'm aware and therefore the impact has um it's coming from that place of awareness and choice rather than not owning it and allowing that to be the guide, and it
Mm-hmm.
pushes me into all these uncomfortable places that I didn't even realize I was going to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first step. And then I guess the second step is like if I don't want to make the choice out of fear or anxiety and I actually want to do something else, like if I'm like, oh, actually, it doesn't feel good to make that choice of checking in with my partner out of worry in this moment, then what's the other option? Like, oh, how does it feel in me to feel worried right now about my partner?
Mm.
What am I noticing that's moving in me?
Hmm.
What would the checking in do for me? What does that bring for me? And how is it to stay in the not knowing how my partner is for a moment?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll check in 10 minutes later, but like what happens when I don't know how my partner is?
Can I just let myself be with that for
Yeah.
10 minutes?
Do I notice that actually, like, when I stay for 10 minutes and I don't know how my partner is, I recognize all these stories that my partner's angry with me, they don't like me, I need reassurance, I want them to tell me that they love me. And that's why I wanted to check in.
Yeah.
And again, not making that wrong. So just like it brings so much more clarity into the question.
Yeah. 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 So we're talking about mindfulness, aren't we? We're talking about being more aware of what's going on inside of us.
Yeah. And hoping that that mindfulness brings clarity in some way or another. And if it doesn't, is that also okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, if it doesn't, then can we just be aware? Can we be mindful? Can we be accepting of the not knowing, the
The
lack of
not
clarity?
knowing. Yeah. Yeah. And just the, I don't know, I feel like there's something deeply beautiful about the not knowing as a
Mm,
question.
mm,
Like it takes me into a very meditative space when I sit with that sense of like, I just don't know.
yeah. Mm,
Like life is not something to be known, it's to be discovered.
mm.
And there's something very beautiful in that and exciting and keeps me on my toes.
Yeah, it would be very boring if we could just be like, right, this is what I'm going to create, and then just do it, and it's all effortless. It happens straight away, and there's no obstacles.
And yet it's such a human thing that we want to know.
Of course.
We want to predict.
Yeah,
It helps us feel safe.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is a good
Any,
moment to wrap things up.
I think so, Andy. Yeah. I appreciate having this chat with you. And I noticed there's so many other examples I'd love to give just to deepen the understanding around that anxious place, particularly in relationships. And yeah, I'm going to leave it at that and see if another discussion comes from this one that wants to be continued.
Yeah, that sounds good. We can always come back to this topic. It's not going to go away, is it?
No, I don't think so. And I don't know if anyone who's been listening feels inspired or interested after you've heard myself and Andy be very human to work with us in any way, then have a look in the podcast notes. We'll leave our links. I'm a relationship coach, so I offer mediation for couples. I support couples to connect in a more heart-centered way and move beyond, the words that disconnect us. But I also work with groups. I have a few workshops coming up that I am excited about and that do feel in alignment. So those are happening in September and November, and they're on my website. And Andy, you want to say a bit about what you do in case anyone feels inspired to work with you?
I was just going to say, do you also, as part of your couples work, help people to be less controlling of each other?
Totally. I mean, one of the main things that comes up is we're trying to change people. We want them to be who we want them to be so that we don't have to feel uncomfortable in the relationship.
Mm.
So it's at the core of working with couples. How can we
Yeah.
accept and love each other and ask and still ask for what we want and be
Yeah.
okay in the unknown together?
Yeah, it's at the
Mm.
heart of it. Yeah, and so I work with people one to one, and I would say at the heart of it is learning to be accepting of yourself, learning to accept your moods, your emotions, your mistakes, the things that you wanted to achieve but haven't yet. Learning to be accepting and self-compassionate. I think it's a lifetime. It's a lifetime's mission to develop
Yeah.
that. But even just spending a few weeks focused on it can make a huge difference towards people's confidence, their peace of mind, their ability to sleep at night, their self-awareness. So yeah, if you're interested in learning how to be less trying to control your mind, your body, and your emotions, and more accepting and kind towards your inner world, then get in touch.
Definitely do. And Andy, I was going to say, like, would you also say that the emotions that you specialize in supporting people with are like anxiety and
Stress,
anger and
anger,
stress?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which all of which can be you could say to come from control. I'm anxious because I want the future to be a certain way and I'm worried it won't be. I'm stressed because there's a gap between reality and the way I want it to be. I'm angry because you did that and I didn't want you to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're all symptoms of control.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Andy. I'm excited already for whenever our next session will be. And thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thanks, Emma. It's been lovely. I really enjoyed it.